Hello music makers, welcome back. I've got 3 classic tracks I want to discuss with you today. Daft Punk's One More Time, Safri Duo's Played Alive, and maybe this one's not quite a classic, but it's a personal favourite of mine, Offaiah's Trouble. Can you guess what these 3 tracks have in common? Sorry, that's a bit of a redundant question, isn't it? I can't hear you answer. This is a recording. Also, I'm sure you've read the video title already. Now, I must admit that title is slightly clickbait, but only because what I'm trying to explain can't really fit in a neat video title. Instead, I'm just going to have to show you. Here I've got the results from 3 different algorithms trying to detect the key of our 3 tracks here. Beatport, Rekordbox, and the plugin Tonic. As you can see, it's kind of all over the place. No, I wasn't referring to my graphical presentation here, but yes, that is all over the place. I mean the key results. And I'm not surprised. These 3 tracks share a trait which confuses not just machines, but humans too. Let me show you some chord progressions. For Daft Punk, here are the chords. Let me reduce them down to their basic triad form first. Let's get rid of these octaves and extensions. Here we go. So, one more time's chord progression is G major to A major. That goes around 3 times. And then the turnaround is on F sharp. That's an F sharp minor chord. Back up to A major. Now, if we look at those key results again, we can see that Tonic thought this was in D major, as did Beatport, and Rekordbox thought this was in E minor. Notice anything? None of those chords are even here. Interesting. Let's check the next one. Okay, let me just revoice this one into its basic chord form. So here are the chords for Played Alive. We have E major, then F sharp major. This is a D sharp minor, back to E major. And round it goes. As for the key results on this one, both Tonic and Beatport got E major, whereas Rekordbox got C major. Well, that's a little better. Tonic and Rekordbox at least detected a key that matches one of the chords in our progression. But is it the correct key? No. Both of those actually got it wrong still, because the other 2 chords, F sharp major and D sharp minor, I can tell you those are not in E major. So, what is going on? Let me show you the last one and then I'll explain. Okay, I've already reduced this one to triads. Trouble's chord progression is A major, then B major, and up to E major. So A, B, and E majors. That repeats 3 times. And the turnaround at the end goes up to C sharp minor before coming back down to B, E, and then back to our A. That's the loop. So as for the results, Rekordbox and Beatport both got D flat minor. That's the same as C sharp minor. And Tonic got E major. Technically, all of those are correct. I hear this in C sharp minor. But E major can be argued. It's just the relative major of C sharp minor after all, meaning they both share the same notes. And you can see Tonic's second guess there was indeed C sharp minor. But isn't that weird? This whole track spends 90% of its life on that A major chord. I'm sure many of you are asking, why can't that just be the key? Well, unfortunately, keys don't really work like that. Let me show you why. As you may have heard me say many times before, a key is just a set of predetermined notes. And if we take every note that's used in offaiah's treble, we get this lot. If we try to line these up against A major, see the fourth note here, D sharp, that is not in A major. A major has a normal D, a D natural in there. And if that were the scale, then all of the B chords in the original progression would have been B minor chords, which would look like that. So that doesn't fit. It can't be A major. And you'll find if you try another one like B major, that doesn't fit either. But if you check C sharp minor or E major, same thing, you'll notice everything lines up. Let me show you the others. If we go to Played Alive, here's all the notes used in Played Alive. Remember, that was based around E major, F sharp major, D sharp minor, and then back to E major. If we line this up with the scale of E major, same problem. This fourth note doesn't fit in. As I said earlier, those other two chords do not fit in E major. And if you check either of those other chords as keys, that doesn't work either. The correct scale for this song is actually G sharp minor. As you can see, all these line up. If we look at Daft Punk, this was based around mostly G major, with moves up to A major, and the turnaround was F sharp minor. Here's all the notes from that. And if we try to make it fit G major, look what happens. Again, that fourth note does not fit in, because one more time's real key is B minor. See how all these notes match with B minor. So, WTF? What is going on? Well, all these tracks are examples of tracks which don't use chord 1. Or in muso terms, tracks which don't use the tonic chord. Yes, that's where that plugin gets its name from. It's a little bit like what I discussed in that video about the Gangsta's Paradise remix. In that one, I went into a lot more detail about why the first chord isn't necessarily the key chord. But this is the extreme logical conclusion of that. What if we don't need a 1 chord? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, because I've said before that there are more scales than major and minor. Doesn't the Phrygian scale or one of those others fit? And technically, yes, there is one. It's called Lydian. The Lydian scale would fit all these examples. However, as I discussed in that Gangsta's Paradise video, there's more to it than just the chords. The melodies are also a big giveaway to where the home key is. You'll find the melodies often land or resolve to the 1 note of the real key. And also, good luck finding Lydian as an option on your mixed-in key or other DJ software. So, how does this happen? Well, in the case of Daft Punk, that track makes heavy use of sampling, specifically the song More Spell On You by Eddie Johns, and for whatever reason, the chords they preferred to chop out of that song didn't include the 1 chord. The original track's chord progression was a 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, but they just liked the sound of the 6, 7, and 5. So the original track was in B minor. The musical mathematics does work out, but Daft Punk ended up making a banger without needing the chord 1. It's kind of a similar story with Offaiah. Trouble is technically a remix. The original track by Lil Wayne and Charlie Puth was indeed centered around C sharp minor, with a progression of 1, 7, 4, 6. But Michael Woods only sampled the intro vocal a cappella stack, which is interestingly singing a chord 1. And as I explained in the Why Samples in the Same Key Don't Fit video, if you put chord 6 under chord 1, you just get chord 6 with a 7th extension on top. See that video if you want more details. This phenomenon isn't necessarily tied to remixing though. Some tracks can just be written this way, Safraduo's Played Alive being one of them. It is rather rare in the great scheme of things though. The only other examples off the top of my head are Gabriel by Roy Davis Jr., MK's 2am, I think I mentioned that in a piano house tutorial, and Fleetwood Mac's Dreams. If you know of any, please let me know down below. So Ben, why the video? Is it actually useful, or am I just nerding out on pub facts? Well, I really like these types of progressions. I call it floating on the 6. You'll notice all of these progressions have that in common. They hang around chord 6 the most. In fact, I gave an example of this in my organic house tutorial. I called this type of progression the drifter, because it can give that infinite floating or drifting kind of vibe. Well, it does to me anyway. It can have the opposite effect of sounding tense, because it sounds like it's building to something that it never resolves. But now you know. Give it a try next time the mood calls for it, or maybe you're struggling to loop a progression. Try one that hangs around chord 6 and see how you get on. Last but not least, I hope you learned something. If you did, you know what to do. Like, share, sub, and until next week, I will see you down there in the comments. Bye-bye!